Hello, my name is Fraser Simons. This is my channel, Springboard Thought. Today I'm going to do a quick review of Hanya Yanagihara's To Paradise, which came out, 4 days at the time of this recording. So I got through it fairly quickly. First one at the library to get a copy, so I was excited about that. And for my own reading of this, I find this to be quite mixed. I admire some of its ambition and some of the thematic conveyance that it manages, but there's a few stumbling blocks that this has. It is divided into three parts, three quite different parts, which is why some people liken it to Cloud Atlas. There's historical fiction, and then there's a spec fiction thing, basically, and the third part where it extrapolates humankind into 2093, I believe. The first part is in 1853, something like that, mid-1850s anyway, I think. And then the middle part jumps forward somewhat as well. There are 5 narrators, I think 5 or 6 narrators in total, if you count the point of view of absolutely everybody, even if some of them are a little bit brief. And essentially what I see this book as trying to convey is that the individual is not nourished under societal constructions, no matter how inclusive they may appear to be. When fear comes to play, eventually regressive and dehumanizing acts are brought to bear on the marginalized of people. Everything that ensues in this world occurs in this one as well. No matter how different it may appear, the human experience is sort of uniform. And we need outliers to break the cycle, and we need them to sort of maintain the humanity within the structures erected, because without them, we're continually inflicting this same sort of generational trauma and issues. And in each story, it's kind of interesting because the thematic coherence is prioritized over everything else, as well as the granular human interactions. But the world building isn't, even when it raises very interesting questions that I would have preferred to have been answered. In that way, it almost has like sophomoric sci-fi difficulties that it's trying to grapple with. It tries to do soft world building in a very poor manner, because what it is most interested in is the human experience in all of them. So it's not where the authorial intent lies, but yet the bringing up of the changes in the world, the reimagining, the retelling, the differences structurally in the world do have a lot of bearing on the characters, but are not really brought up. And when they are, it's kind of sloppily done. Another point of contention that I have in this too is that the world building is so light and airy that we don't even know if these 3 parts are actually connected. Like, they, for all we know, they could be completely parallel universes or something. And the only thing that connects them is the human experience, in that their names are similar or the same. And so there is a point that she is making by doing that, of course. But from what I want out of a story, I would like more practical connective tissue between the 3 for them to be present in a story like this, especially because they are parts of the overall story. They should be a part of the same world. And yet it doesn't seem like it matters much to the author that they do that, which is very strange to me. It hates exposition. It avoids it at all costs, often to its detriment, because a lot of times, especially in the 3rd section, there's an epistolary account of everything, and we go into a lot of situations where it's like, as you know, blah, 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 as it tries to do so info dump type stuff. And this occurs in all 3 of them, but it seems oddest in the first part of the book, which is historical fiction that's been altered, where queer people in a free state in a different kind of America is established, and sexuality is not a repressed thing. but it also rejiggers like what the actual Americas look like. And I don't think we ever get an outside view of what the world looks like. So it is, again, only focused on how it actually affects our main sort of protagonists and point of view. And once the thematic intent of each one is established, it completely just leaves it hanging. So the Cloud Atlas angle, I think, is a bad thing to compare it to, because Cloud Atlas is thematically cohesive while also completing every novella. They all crescendo and they all cascade together, which makes it very satisfying, which this book has no intent on doing whatsoever. I was always trying to make sense of the world that the characters were in their relation to it, but kept being doled out very small increments of data that, while nice that all of the information you get is pertinent to the theme that she is trying to make, it made the world feel solipsistic instead of the actual people in it. Because the world that they occupy, the granular interactions that they have, do feel very well realized. The prose are great, the structure is interesting, the pagination is fantastic, and in some cases the pacing is good, mainly only in part 3, because, again, as I said, as soon as the thematics are established, it's out, it's gone, she moves on. And so there's a withholding of catharsis that makes sense for the themes, but again, it feels incomplete, and each world feels sort of like an echo of the last without us having ever established what made the echo and why the things that are happening are actually occurring. Feels almost like a puppeteering act, because the through line is the thematics. You'll get a lot out of this if all you want is thematic cohesion. If you just want character work, I think this will be a mix for you. Possibly it could be good, because if you like every point of view and the prose sing for you, then that's great and you'll love the book. However, for me, it was a mix. I really liked the part 1 and the part 3 and really disliked part 2. If you want world building, you will not enjoy this book at all. If you want every aspect, typically, of what we look for in a normal literary fiction or story whatsoever, with character, plot, pacing, all of that stuff present, you should run away from this book, because it's not for you. The only thing that the author is willing to provide and interested in looking at is granular human aspects and interactions, like I said, with the thematic through line, and that's it. That's all I think it provides you. Granted, this is my reading, but I found myself quite frustrated with the book, and I admire its ambition, but in good conscience, I couldn't give this book even 3 stars. I gave it 2 stars because the second part was such a struggle for me to get through for numerous aspects. I think some of it is unnecessarily problematized by the author, but also I just didn't like the prose work was good, while the authorial voice, or the voice of the narrator present in the second part, was grating, annoying, and again sort of verged on the epistolary type thing that is present in the third act, which is a point of major contrivance. Diegetically, it makes no sense. And the plot as expressed in it makes it all but impossible for it to be present, which is another sticking point for me. I need the world to make sense and situate the characters into it afterward. And that's just the type of reader I am. If you've read it, I'd love to have a discussion about it, what you liked, what you didn't like. And otherwise, I will see you next video. Bye.